Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. Organization is everything, at least to some people. You know, and to be quite honest, I kind of sit on the fence a little bit in my regular life about organization. I don't know. I love it, but I hate doing it. But when it comes to the garden, there's a lot of different ways to actually organize your plantings that we can go over. There's a lot of different options and different things we can do. And I've tried a lot of these. So we'll go over, I think it's about 4 or 5 of them, and I'll give you my favorite and my least favorite. So let's go through there. Just to show you real quick, I noticed today we are starting to get some tasseling. So my fertilization worked really good on here. I know this is off subject, but I just wanted to show you. The way the corn works is when it gets to about this tall, from here to here is when it uses the most nitrogen. So right when it got to about this tall, we went ahead and we fed it, and we can see the results. It is really shot up. It is just about to start tasseling across the board. So we're gonna go ahead and give it one more shot of fertilizer to get its boost. And then that should be all that it's gonna use. But the timing and everything worked out really good for this so far. And not everything is up to there. So, you know, we're not all tasseling right now. So this is a good time to give some more fertilizer to the corn. I just wanted to give you a little update. Shoot me. All right, so the first option, and there's all kinds of options, okay? There's, in this list, there's 2, the first 2 are pretty basic, and then there's one that's really creative that I've done, and then there's another one that's very comforting, we'll say. So the first one is just organize it by companion plantings, right? If that's what you want to do. Now, spoiler alert, this is my least favorite of all of them. I hate companion planting. It's overly complicated. Nevertheless, there is a lot of information out there. We are not here in this video today to discuss if it is right or wrong or worth it. What we are here to do is just give you the option. If you think about it correctly, or not correctly, but if you just think about it, you know, you can organize your beds with different plantings for, you know, whatever is companion with squash. So like beans maybe, or with the corn. You know, you could put in different plantings within your corn, especially if you have like bigger beds. So you can do a lot of different aspects like that. We'll come over here to the pepper. We'll do this one because this one's a little bit more complicated. Peppers, eggplants, and tomatoes. When I first read about it one year, it was companion planting. Then I read about it and it wasn't. So that's where this came from. And I just really liked the way everything grew so much that we decided to keep it that way. A lot of this video, I know everybody's planted for some, you're like, well, what the hell? Well, you know, you got fall coming on. And so like in the fall, you could do stuff like your turnips and lettuces in one bed, you know. They don't really compete for the same nutrients and stuff like that. And so just to kind of keep it short, I'll let you do your own research about companion plantings if you want, but it's pest pressure, it's nutrient demands from the plants and what they all want, and then you can kind of build your beds out around that. And so that can be a really good way to organize your beds and get them all going into the right direction so that you supposedly are growing a lot easier. Now on the complete opposite side, you can also do it by combative plantings. So we'll come over here back to the pepper and tomato bed, and this is just peppers and tomatoes, which by the way, my tomatoes are so heavy they're collapsing. So I was gonna do this today, but I need to pull them all up, and I'm actually gonna tie all of these tomato plants to this trellis. I'll probably cause a choke wire on it, which means it's gonna choke me when I walk through, but I'm gonna pull all of these up just to give them a little bit more strength so they don't fall over. But as we digress, so combative planting is another way to look at it. It's the total opposite of companion planting. And this bed is a combative planting. So it's combative because these plants use the same nutrients to grow. So that seems like, well, why the hell would you do that? You know, if the tomatoes are using the same, then you're just using up all the nutrients that the tomatoes use for the peppers and vice versa. But I like this because it keeps my fertilization easy and I can just across the board go. You know what I mean? I don't want to plant something, and this, by the way, isn't my favorite type of planting, just so you know, but I don't want to be dancing around like, oh, I gave it too much nitrogen. Oh, I need to give this a little bit more and that a little bit less. I don't want to do that. I said it in the last video or two, but like corn and tomatoes wouldn't go together because you have to put so much nitrogen in here for the corn that you would just end up messing up your tomatoes to get leaves. Same with the squashes, right? It just wouldn't work out as well. So that's why we put the okra in the squash bed, because it kind of just made sense to me that they use the same nutrients. There's no typical demand or anything like that. So we could get them all growing and be easy on us as the gardener for fertilization. They're pretty simple. There's not rocket science behind them. There's a lot of information out there. It just depends on how you look at it. Now, here's one that's really cool. And I've done this before, and I may actually go back and do it again. It works out really good in the summertime, but again, all of this is for you to plan your next season's garden if you want, because again, it's not like you're gonna go and be like, oh, I don't want to put this here, let me pull out this mature tomato. Nobody's gonna do that, I hope not. But recipe planting. So recipe planting is really cool. I have a book, it's in the Amazon list below. And it's nothing but garden plans. And within those garden plans, I mean, it's got layouts and everything. It's one of the first gardening books I ever got, and it has actual plantings. So I know some of you are doing this, and comment and tell us what you're doing, but I'll discuss it briefly. So the gist of it, and I keep going back to this bed because of the way I plant, but this could almost be one. We really enjoy making salsa. You know, we make fresh salsa. So, you know, you've got your peppers, you've got your tomatoes. Let's say we put cucumbers in it. So let's say we had a trellis in the back, we put our cucumbers on the trellis, and then we'd have a hot pepper, a sweet pepper, and then our tomatoes. Well, boom, all of a sudden you've got a salsa bed, right? That's really cool. And all of it kind of plays together fairly well. If we come over here to this one, we could make this all, and then you could get even deeper with variety on this one. So you could say, okay, I want to have a spaghetti sauce bed. So we'd have basil in the front, San Marzano, Roma tomatoes, whatever kind of paste tomato you want in the back. You could have oregano up here. You could have, you know, maybe a small patch of onions, and then that is your whole bed, right? So, you know, you can get really creative and plant in many different ways for this. You know, in the fall, if we really wanted to, and this isn't actually a bad idea, I might do this, do like an egg roll bed. So we'd have like 2 rows of cabbage and then a double row of carrots. And that would be our egg roll bed, right? Because we like preserving our cabbage by making egg rolls and freezing them ahead of time. So that's an option you can do as well. You know, there's all kinds of ways you can do this and get really creative. If you make like a certain kind of soup, or like a soup bed, for instance. So if I was gonna plant a soup bed, what I would do is I would put a row of potatoes in, and then I'd put a row of cabbage in, I'd put a row of carrots in, and then I would put a row of, I don't know, what else do I eat in my soup? I don't know. Pick something, I don't know. You know, or just amend it to what you want. Rutabagas go really good too. I would put rutabagas in. Now, if you think about all the different things we just talked about, and companion and combative planting and all that, it kind of throws the book out the window. But let's be honest, nobody ever said you had to plant those 2 ways. So just keep that in mind. We've done it before, and we really did like it. We've done Mediterranean beds. We've done, you know, seafood beds. We've done tea beds, all kinds of stuff like that. So, you know, the sky is the limit with this, and you get super creative. But we're gonna get in a minute why we gotta be very careful with all this too. Now, my absolute favorite is family planting. So we keep our families together within reason. So, you know, we do a lot of monocropping, so that's really easy. You know, our corn stays in there, our sweet potatoes. For instance, this pepper and tomato beds, all nightshades. So the nightshade family is in this bed. And this one we have the same as the other bed, but we also have an eggplant, nightshade family. We have our squashes. And then over here, we do have a mixture over here. This is just kind of like a test bed to see whatever we could come up with. So this is a little bit of everything, but we really like to do this. And even if we come back here, we've got our melons, which are, by the way, going really slow. So we'll see how that goes, but we've got our melons in this bed. I really like this organization method for my garden because it keeps everything in order. It keeps all the fertilization in order. It keeps the pests in order. It really just does the trick for me. It really gets my juices flowing, if you know what I'm saying. And it really has simplified what I do the best. But I realize that not everybody grows food for the same reason. And what do I mean by that? Well, you don't necessarily, maybe you're just not really into like super production, right? You're into the looks as well. Now, I will say I personally I'm really enjoying this bed of corn right now. It's just blowing my mind every time I see it. I'm really happy with it. So I enjoy the look. I enjoy the variety per bed. I enjoy looking at it and saying, I know what this is. No big deal. You know, there's a lot of different aspects to this. So it brings a lot of enjoyment to me. I know that there's also architectural things you can do in your gardens as far as with plants go. You know, for instance, you can kind of see here, we've got our low plants in the front, our tall, it just kind of builds up. And then if you have different features in your yard, you can do all that stuff. So I get all that and I respect that. And I think this is why this subject's so fun, because there's so many different options you can do. You just have fun with it. So, you know, you can do any of these things you want, but I really like the family planting. It works for me. And the reason why I really, really like it, here comes the big note behind this whole subject. It really comes down to, if you're into it, crop rotation, right? So crop rotation is really important. It's one of those things that's like, it doesn't matter until it really matters. And it doesn't just kind of matter, it like totally matters. So what I mean by that is you could plant something year after year after year, but eventually what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna have complete crop failure in that bed. So it doesn't really matter until you realize, oh, all my crops are dead and I don't know what to do. So if you think about that, and let's just put that into perspective real quick for you. We had this bed back here, we had a trellis on the back and we put green beans in it, we got mosaic virus, and the next year we put cucumbers in it and we got the mosaic virus and that. So clearly we need to make a switch. So what we did is we just removed it and we put our green beans over. So we didn't get a green bean harvest for 2 years. And now we are back onto our green beans. So you can see our green beans are doing very well. They're just starting to take off, which is good. We have our squashes over here. We had green beans here last year, which did okay. So we decided to put our, what is it called? Our Seminole pumpkin. And then we're doing honey nut squash over here, which it is time to wrap you up a little bit. So I just come out here every couple days as it grows. These will start growing fast now and I'll wrap them a little bit so that they will climb. And all of that will, you know, that helps us with more production. We do have our cucumbers back here, which are going very slowly. And I think it's just because of the shade aspect, but we're gonna keep running it. I'm gonna shoot them some food and then we can just go from there. So keep in mind, as you do all of this, whatever makes it easier for you to rotate your crops as needed. Do you want to rotate them every year? Do you want to do them every other year? Do you want to do them every 3 years? I do them every year just to stay on top of it. And so my family planting helps with that, because my nightshades, for instance, my potatoes were nightshades. So my potatoes will move up here. These 2 beds will move back here to these 2. And those are all nightshades. My squashes will move up here. My corn could move up here. Our sweet potatoes can go back here. So, you know, we have it all kind of planned out. And then in the fall, it's the same thing where we can have our cabbages move up and all that stuff. So fun as all the other plantings are, this is one thing that's really saved me from what I would call a total catastrophe. So there's so many different ways. The recipe planting is really fun, but when you start getting into all these mixed beds, your rotation gets very, very difficult. And also your fertilization can be a little bit difficult as well. So for instance, if we did that soup bed where we put cabbages and carrots in, you know the story, it's gonna get a little difficult with all the nitrogen. So just keep that in mind. But if you have a small bed and you just wanna make salsa, great, make a salsa bed. You know, there's so many different ways. So if you organize your plants in a specific way, and not just I put it where I want, but if you actually go out there with a plan and organize it, let us know in the comments below, because there's so many options, and this is a really fun part of gardening. There is a lot of different things we can do and grow, and ways we can set it up and organize it and look at it and enjoy it and harvest from it, all that stuff. And this is not an end-all list. There are plenty of other ways to do it. But these are the top ways I thought that were both helpful and fun. Goodbye.